Apple just released iOS 26.5 Beta 3, and buried inside this update is something that most people haven't talked about yet. Apple is putting ads inside your Maps app, and once this goes live, there's no way to turn them off. In this video, I'm going to break down everything that's coming with iOS 26.5 when it's actually dropping, and most importantly, what this Maps ad situation really means for your privacy. Before we get into the features, let's quickly talk about where we are right now. iOS 26.5 is currently on its third beta. Apple released Beta 3 on April 20th, and based on the release pattern we've seen over the past few years, we are expecting a fourth beta around April 27th or 28th, followed by a release candidate around May 4th, and then the final public release around May 11th or 12th. This is going to be the last significant update before iOS 27, which Apple will officially unveil at WWDC 2026 on June 8th. So if you've been waiting for Siri improvements or major new Apple Intelligence features, those are not coming with iOS 26.5. Apple has confirmed that Siri 2.0, powered in part by Google's Gemini models, is being held for iOS 27. iOS 26.5 is a smaller, more focused update, but that doesn't mean there's nothing worth paying attention to. Quite the opposite. Let's start with the most controversial change in this update, because this one deserves a real conversation. Apple Maps is getting ads. Starting with iOS 26.5, when you open Maps and search for something, a restaurant, a gas station, a hotel, you will start seeing sponsored results at the top of your search. These are paid placements from businesses, similar to what you already see when you search in the App Store. Apple has been pretty transparent about how this will work. They've said the ads will be clearly labeled with an ad tag so you know what's organic and what's paid. And they've also said that your location data and the ads you see will not be linked to your Apple account, meaning Apple is claiming strong privacy protections around this. But here's where it gets interesting. Apple Maps has always been positioned as the privacy-first alternative to Google Maps. No ad tracking, no behavioral profiling, no selling your data. That was the entire value proposition. And now, Apple is introducing ads into that same app. The ads themselves might be minimal and clearly labeled, but the fact that they exist at all represents a shift in how Apple thinks about maps. And once ads are in one Apple app, history tells us they tend to spread. Right now, there is no opt-out. Apple has not announced any setting to disable ads in Maps. So when iOS 26.5 goes public, this is going to be the new reality for every iPhone user. Now let's talk about something that's actually good news from a privacy standpoint. And it's been a long time coming. iOS 26.5 is finally bringing end-to-end encryption to RCS messages. If you're not familiar, RCS is the messaging standard that iPhone uses when texting Android users. It's what replaced basic SMS for most people. But unlike iMessage, which has always been end-to-end encrypted, RCS messages between iPhone and Android have not been encrypted, meaning your carrier and potentially other parties could read those messages. Apple actually tried to launch this feature with iOS 26.4, but pulled it before the public release. Now it's back in the iOS 26.5 beta, and this time, the release notes don't mention removing it, which is a good sign that it's actually shipping this time. What this means, practically, if you have a friend or family member on Android and you communicate over RCS, those messages will now be encrypted by default. Nobody in the middle can read them. You'll see a new toggle in Settings Arrow Messages, Arrow RCS messaging, called End-to-End Encryption. It's on by default. This is one of the most meaningful privacy improvements Apple has made to messaging in years, and it's getting almost no attention because of the Maps ad situation. Also coming with iOS 26.5 is a new feature in Maps called Suggested Places. When you open Maps and tap the search bar, you'll now see a new section that recommends nearby locations based on what's trending in your area and your recent searches. On the surface, this sounds useful, but it's worth noting that this feature is launching alongside the ads rollout. And according to Apple's own description, suggested places will eventually include paid placements as well. So some of what appears to be a recommendation may actually be a sponsored result. Apple has said that location data used for these suggestions is not linked to your Apple account, but it's still worth being aware of what's actually showing up in that section. This one is a quality of life improvement that a lot of people will appreciate. If you use a Magic Keyboard, Magic Mouse, or Magic Trackpad with your iPhone, you currently have to manually pair it through settings every time. With iOS 26.5, when you connect one of these accessories via USB-C, your iPhone will automatically establish a Bluetooth connection. You plug it in once, and from that point, it stays connected wirelessly without any manual setup. Small change, but if you use these accessories regularly, it removes a genuinely annoying step. iOS 26.5 is also adding new options to the Move to Android feature. When transferring from iPhone to Android, you'll now be able to choose how much of your message history and attachments you want to bring over. All messages, the last year, or the last 30 days. This is a niche feature, but it's actually a thoughtful addition. Large message histories with lots of photos and videos can be enormous, and giving people control over how much they transfer makes the process significantly more manageable. Apple is adding new Pride Luminance wallpapers to iOS 26.5 and watchOS 26.5. These are typically held back until the public release rather than appearing in the betas, so you won't see them until the update officially drops. Apple adds new Pride and Unity wallpapers every year around this time, and this year's version is called Pride Luminance. One more change worth mentioning. Apple is giving developers a new subscription billing option in the App Store. Previously, apps could offer monthly billing or annual billing. With iOS 26.5, developers can now offer a monthly payment plan for an annual subscription commitment. So if an app normally costs $10 a month or $80 a year, you'll be able to pay for the annual plan in monthly installments instead of one lump sum up front. This makes annual subscriptions more accessible for people who don't want to pay a large amount at once. Whether that's good or bad for your wallet depends on how disciplined you are with subscriptions. Since iOS 26.5 is the last update before WWDC, it's worth quickly mentioning what's coming next. iOS 27 is expected to bring Siri 2.0 with Google Gemini integration, significant Apple Intelligence improvements, a new standalone Siri app, and a stability-focused update that Apple is internally comparing to Mac OS X Snow Leopard, meaning the focus is on performance and reliability rather than flashy new features. We'll get the full picture on June 8th at WWDC. I'll have a video up the same day covering everything. So that's everything coming with iOS 26.5. The Maps ad situation is the one to watch. It's a real shift in how Apple approaches privacy in its own apps, and it's worth paying attention to as it rolls out. iOS 26.5 should be out publicly around May 11th. When it drops, I'll have a follow-up video covering how the ads actually look in practice and whether there's anything you can do about them. Subscribe so you don't miss that. See you in the next one.